Hello, this is James Smith at GannAnalysis.net. Today we're looking at Palo Alto Networks. The ticker is PANW, and we're looking for an analysis of this stock. You can see a gap down. It's rallying back. What can we say about this other than mind the gap? Obviously, you didn't want to be long here for it to go down here, but it is coming back. How far will it go? That's the question. Well, one of the concepts that Gann tried to get across is that for any swing move, you can take this high and this low, or you can take this low and this high, or you can take this low here and this high. You can divide any swing into 8 equal increments. These are Gann divisions, or Gann retracements, if you will. And if you look at the move here so far, we got close to 320, which is the 50% retracement. Or if you like, you count up from the low, 1, 2, 3, 4 eighths, 4 eighths retracement. This would be your 3 eighths retracement right here. Now, on a closing basis, you could argue that the 3 eighths retracement is now stopping this market. If it can't get above this, then maybe that it just resumes the decline. I think it'll probably get above it. I want to see what happens at the 50% mark. If it closes above that and may go up here, it might even close the gap with a move to 359.82. That would close this gap that opened up on the chart. And oftentimes a stock that gaps down, it'll come back, close the gap, and then go down again. So that's just something to keep in mind. That's a possibility. If it takes this out, this last retracement, it'll probably go to new highs. So these are just a couple of the things you need to pay attention to as the market progresses. We'll see what happens in the next few days. Now, this is the chart everyone is familiar with. If they're looking at Gann, they know about the Gann fan. A lot of things you don't know, though. One thing is that, well, this line here, what we're calling the 1x1 or the 45-degree line, is related to every other line. So this is called a 1x2 because it's half the slope of the 1x1. This is called a 2x1 because it's twice the slope of the 1x1. Well, in reality, what you do is you set the scale for the 1x1. In this case, what we call the price unit is set to 1. And the time frame is weekly, so that would mean that we're looking at 1 point move up. The slope moves up at a rate of 1 point per week. That's the slope. And the 2x1, the slope moves up 2 points per week. And just the reverse here, the 1x2 would be half of a 1 point, and that would be, half a point per week. And 1x3 would be a third of a point. And 1x4 would be a quarter of a point. So you get the idea. And the reverse is also true. A 4x1 would be 4 times the slope, meaning it would be 4 points per week. So it's a pretty steep slope. And one thing you might notice here is the 1x3 gave you support here. 1x2 gave you support. There's resistance, support on a 1x3, 1x4. It seems like we got the right scale for this stock. You can see the stock is vibrating to this Gann fan. That's what you want to see if you want to know, did I get the right scale? That's how you know. The more hits, the better. But one thing I will point out is that if you use the Gann fan too much, you won't be able to see the forest from the trees. Your chart gets very cluttered. I prefer to just put on one Gann line to start with and see what's going on. And you don't, with a Gann fan, you're going to have all the lines coming from this one bottom here. But in reality, I prefer to see what a 2x1 or a 3x1 might be doing from different lows and highs. So in this case, we've established the 1x1. Remember, we said we're using a slope or a price unit of 1 point per week. So there you go. That looks pretty good. Now we know we have a 45-degree line offering support at 247.82 if it gets down there, we think it'll probably find support, at least initially. If it's a big correction, it takes it out, then we know that because the market is speaking to us. It's telling us, hey, this is a bigger correction. If this gives way, we know we're in big trouble. Now, you can also apply the Gann retracements, all 8 divisions to this chart as well as the 1x1. And then you've got the 3/8 retracement from the high, offering support pretty close to the same level as the 1x1. So 253 is the Gann division, the 3/8 retracement, and the 45-degree line at 247. So that area is really strong support. If you take that out, you probably go down to 211 or 168 or even lower. So that's what we're saying. Now, if getting back to what I was trying to tell you before, I like to choose different points to start my Gann angles. So it doesn't have to be every Gann angle has to come from one defined point, a high or low. You can start them from any of a number of points. So a 3x1 line here, we're calling it a 3x1, but in fact, it says 45. The reason it says that is because I chose to keep the degree angle at 45. So in truth, this is probably your 1x1. But I'm calling it the 3x1 because I'm using, what did I say before? I'm using 3 points. The other charts I used 1 for the red line, and that's your 1x1. So for me, this is your 3x1, even though it says 45. Now, to get away from that, you can say, well, hey, if this is your 45-degree line, then this can't be 45 degrees. It has to be something steeper. So in fact, when you do the math, it works out to 71.57 degrees. That gives you the same result as if you were using 3 points as your scale instead of 1. So it's just, if you want to look at it in degree terms, 71.57, or if you just want to call it, a 45-degree line, 3 points, it's the same difference. It gives you the same thing. So that can be a point of confusion, but I just want to address that so you understand. Now, if you add more lines, notice here we start from this low. It gives you the exact high. Remember what I said before, you don't need to have every Gann line start from the same low. They can be any of these lows or any of the highs could be a point where you might start a line. You might have a Gann line coming down from this high. So if we wanted to do that, it's not hard. We just go like this. And let's see, this is set to something different, 0.1. Remember, we use 1 as our 1x1 line, and there you have it. Notice how this gives you resistance, and you break out above it at this point, right? As soon as you broke out above it, you got a sharp move up. So that was a breakout, legitimate breakout. And the thing that people miss is that if the 1x1 works on the way up, it can also be useful on the way down. Either you failed here and you continue down, or you break out and you continue up. Either way, this line is quite useful. So it's the same slope going down as this line going up. And this slope is just 3 times the slope of the 1x1. So you kind of get an idea of how this works. It's very fun to use once you get used to it. And if we add more lines, you can see here from this low, it gave you this high here. So it's not just that this one gave you a high here, it's also that this one gave you the high here. All because we figured out that this is the scale, the vibration of this stock. 1 point per week seems to work pretty well. If it worked here, giving you support, 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 then it probably works from other lows. So that's just a trick of the trade. I really like it. I think it's really, the more Gann lines you draw, it's okay to draw more Gann lines. I just think you should avoid doing too many Gann fans and cluttering up your screen. You can't understand what's going on once it gets too cluttered. Now, if we add another one from this low, note that if we were to take out this support here on the 3x1 at 282, then you probably go down to 247. If you take that out, you'd go down to 195. So you just go from one to the next. You're not forecasting the market. You're just listening to what the market is telling you. In this case, it's caught between two Gann lines. If it breaks out here, you probably go back and retest the high. If it breaks below this, you go down. It's that simple. It's very straightforward. Now, some people argue religiously about, oh, Gann, you can't use Fibonacci. I don't see why not. Fibonacci is also useful. Notice here it gave you support almost on a closing basis here, slightly below it, but this week it's above it. So 285 is legitimate support. Even though it's not Gann, I would go ahead and use it. And if you take this out, you go down here to 256. That's the Gann retracement of this large swing. So I use both. I use the Gann divisions, the 1/8 increments. From the low, we divide the swing into 8 equal increments. And this would be down from high. This would be a 3/8 retracement. This would be 5/8. And those are the three that are most important. 3/8, 4/8 or 50% mark, and the 5/8 retracement. So you will spend a lot of time in this zone if the market is trying to find direction. And then if it breaks out above here, maybe it's going to go back and retest the high. If it breaks the 50% mark, that is the most important retracement. If you take that out, Katie bar the door, it's all over, because then it's going to go down hard. Notice how this one was a top, which in some sense forecasted this high. This initial swing, before all this price action happened, right? You got this leg up. That was a legitimate high, and twice that range, this initial range, gave you the high up here. So in effect, you could say that this high forecasted this high. There's a relationship between these two. And because this was an important resistance here, it will also be support. And it's a 50% retracement. So 256 is very important. I think you need to follow that. If you get a further sell-off, just watch that level. And going back, if we go back to the 1x1, you can see 247 is pretty close to 256. That area is going to be strong support. And if it gives way, then you know this thing's going down like a stone. But if it holds, maybe that's a higher low and you just keep going back up again. So you don't need to forecast the market. What you need to do is just follow the Gann lines and let them tell you what the market wants to do. So I hope this has been helpful. If you like this, go to my website at gannanalysis.net. Let me expand that a little bit. And okay, so www.gannanalysis.net. Register, you get a few free reports, and you can ask me some questions. But that's the website. And if you decide you really like it, well, then you hit the shop button and try it out for 3 months. I think I'm hoping to get you interested in Gann. Maybe you haven't seen it before, but that's the purpose of this video, trying it out on Palo Alto networks. Just keep in mind you can do it on any stock. It doesn't have to be just this one. Any stock, bond, commodity, forex, even crypto. It works on everything. Good luck in your trading. Let me know if you have any questions.